got my handkerchief ready to go. Megan's got backup. So I thought about bringing my black and orange satin cape that I used to put on when I did the sexual harassment training. For those of you that did it, I called it my cloak of immunity. And as long as I was wearing my cloak of immunity, anything went, and I could say and pretty much do anything and get away with it during those trainings. And last night I thought, where is that? I think Kendra, did you have it?
I have it.
Yeah, Kendra's got my cloak of immunity, that I thought maybe I should wear that cloak and then, do what I used to do. But I changed my plan. So if you want to hear more about my life as a lawyer, tune in, go to the county whatever website thing and watch Tuesday's thing where I talked about going to law school and being a lawyer, and I don't plan on saying all of that again. Instead, I just kind of wanted to say a couple of things that I wrote down actually while I was listening to people. So in no particular order, I'm just curious, how many of you were hired by Mr. Margo? It's a whole bunch. Thank you for hiring. Great employees. I, of course, want to thank you for hiring me. I remember I was finishing up law school, and I found myself suddenly relocating to Bakersfield, and I knew that I wanted to work public sector. It's the only kind of law that I liked, and it was really what I wanted to do. And what I used to say was that if I lived in Washington, D.C., I'd want to work for the federal government. If I lived in Sacramento, I wanted to work for the state. If I lived in a county, I wanted to work for a county because I wanted to have my finger on the pulse of like the biggest, kind of most involved governmental public entity that I could. So I found myself moving to Bakersfield, and I don't know, Bernie, if you know this, but I wrote a letter, and the office manager at the time called me and said, we don't hire law clerks, so thanks but no thanks. And I said, well, I'd really like to speak to Mr. Barman anyway. No, he's very busy. I said, no, I really like to speak to Mr. Barman. So finally she let me speak with you, and we had a lovely conversation, and I set up an interview time to come to Bakersfield and meet with you, and I was so excited. It was truly like my dream job. And over the years, that has not wavered. This has remained my dream job, almost without fail. There have been a few little moments, can't lie, when I think, what the heck is happening? But day in and day out, it has been a dream job. And again, this is in no particular order, but for those of you that worked in the office, and Tony, I don't want to put you on the spot, but we used to have staff meetings. There's a few snickers. The staff meeting started with Tony telling a joke. And Tony told me she had a joke prepared.
It's not really a good joke.
It doesn't.
So
She always started every joke with like, it's not really a good joke. And then we would start laughing so hard that it didn't matter what the joke was.
The joke is I can't tell a joke. So like GK would always have to reiterate my joke, but he would always do the punchline right. I wouldn't. So I kind of wrote this up, so I'm going to read it. So after nearly almost 40 decades.
not 40 years.
I had no idea. You guys did phenomenal. It's fantastic.
You have that written down too. Of serving our trusted county counsel's office, Margo is finally retiring. No more urgent HR memos, no more closed sessions, no more policy reviews or carefully crafted legal responses. From now on, the only thing Margo will be advising, get it, advising? Advising is her calendar planning, the next vacation destination for Jeff. Wait, this is all wrong. All she'll be advising is where the next vacation will be or the next honeydew for him or whatever. So, congratulations. And hopefully that's the last joke I tell. You must have been going through a rough time, so I was asked by a certain member of your office to call her, to tell her a joke, like weekly. I kind of made it. So, I hope it was a little chuckle, but they were still lame.
Alright, so this is kind of for those who have been around. And she is right, a couple of months ago, I just got this voicemail from her, and it just kind of said this joke with no apparent connection to anything. and I was really stymied for a while. Then I will call out Brian Alba, who one time I mentioned it, like, oh, I heard from Tony. It's like, she just left me this message. And he said, oh, I told her to call you and just leave a joke. Every now and then I'd get a voicemail message from Tony, and it would just be a joke, and it made me laugh, because the jokes are special because of the way you deliver it. First, I want to thank the party planners extraordinaire who put this together, primarily Kendra, Christina, Pat. I saw Pat. Where's Pat go? Pat's responsible for all decorations in the office, and Pat and I have worked together pretty much from the day you were hired. Pat was a notary, and as when I moved my father to Bakersfield and I needed to have something notarized, I would put her in my car at lunch, and we would go to where my dad lived, and she would do all of the notary things for me on behalf of my dad. And for that, I'm very grateful. And I love where Tara. Tara, the balloons are Tara's creation, and they are spectacular. So before you leave, either grab me, because I'd love to have a picture, or just grab somebody, and there's props. Please take pictures under the balloon arch. I really appreciate it. And if you have had a bad day, stick around and you can pop the balloons later. I have a globe in my office that is available to anybody who wants it. If you want it, stop by, and it is my gift for you. Because as you heard, I do like to travel, and I've always just had in the office, I have the globe. It makes me happy. It makes me think of places that I could go. I also found it interesting if somebody came by with one of their children or grandchildren, we could sit and talk about places to go. Hi, Richard. Okay. So everybody knows about Jeannie D. So she is on my list too. Thank you, Jeannie. I tell everybody that Jeannie introduced it, and the only thing that is my version that's different is that you told me that I'd like him because he went to Paris. So one or the other, you connected that we'd get along because we both
talked about Paris. It was a match.
Paris, yeah. Jeff and I went to a wedding a couple of years ago. It was about this size, and it was a really fun wedding. And the groom, and I'm not going to do this, but he said it was a bring no gifts, so there were gifts. And he pulled out this wad of dollar bills, and he said, "Thanks for coming to our wedding. I'm going to give everybody a present." And he went person by person and explained how either he or his bride knew them, and then handed you a dollar bill as a gift. And it was really fun to like listen. And I've been standing back there looking at each of you, and I could do that, and I'm so honored that I could tell the rest of the crowd a little something about you. And for that, I'm so grateful that you shared that part of your life with me over the years. I was going to say, which I guess I will, it's been talked about, love to hike, love to bike ride, but that has caused 2 hip replacements, a broken ankle, any number of cuts, bruises, and scrapes. But one of the things that I'm really looking forward to in retirement is getting myself back into shape so I can get back on that mountain bike and back into my hiking boots and going. When I came for the interview with Mr. Bartman, and he was talking about that the office was much smaller. We were on the 5th floor of 1415 Truxton, which is Superior Court building. What I loved about that building is that we rode the elevator with the judges and the bailiffs and the court clerks and probation officers, and we'd get to know everybody. And I remember on a couple of court holidays, the sheriff's SWAT team would use it for practice. And so you just would be hopping on the elevator doors would open, and there'd be all the guys in their tactical gear saying, yeah, maybe the next elevator? You bet. The other thing they did, the sheriff's department did, was transport inmates in the elevators. So the elevator doors would open and there'd be somebody completely shackled up, and the sheriff's deputies would say, catch the next one? You bet. But it was a different office, and one of the things that you told me, and he's like, one of the reasons you should come to work here is that we have a fax machine. So some of you are very young and you don't know what that is. Google. So the other thing I wanted to ask is, just because I do think the potluck question is the pivotal question of all job interviews, and I know I've been on an interview panel with an awful lot of you. So how many of you received the what would you bring to a potluck question? Yep. So someday, I want that office potluck to actually consist of what you promised. Because it turns out you don't really make it. You go to the store and buy something. But someday, the other thing that Tina and I talked about this is making everybody actually produce the recipe for the potluck item and then create a county council cookbook. So, please, before you leave, sign the beautiful picture. Thank you, Kendra, for arranging that. Please eat. There is a whole lot of food. There's also a whole lot of drink. So please eat. We don't want to take it home. So, and just in concluding, in addition to thanking you all for being here tonight, I want to thank you for being part of my job. And in addition to doing the sexual harassment training, for years I did the supervisor's academy on employee discipline and getting along. Somewhere along the line, kind of early in my career, I got to know people, and you get to know a coworker, and are they going to be your friend? Are they going to be friendly? Do you not like them? Or professional? And there's some bumps along the way, and I realized, and this is what I used to tell people that were doing the training, that at a minimum, you have to be professional with everybody that you interact with. And I still think, that's just the minimum. That's the bar. You always have to be professional with the people you work with. If you can be friendly, it makes your day so much nicer, and it just makes your time at the office more pleasant, and you laugh and you have reasons to look forward to coming to work. If by some gift you actually become friends, then that just makes your work so much sweeter and such a beautiful part of your life. So for everybody that's here tonight, you are my friends. And I thank you. But I got a hug from Elsa. Please enjoy